Hello and welcome to Secrets of Organ Playing podcast.
This is a show dedicated to helping you become a better organist.
We're your hosts, Vidas Pinkevičius.
And Aušra Motuzaitė Pinkevičienė.
We have over 25 years of experience of playing the organ.
And we've been teaching thousands of organists online from 89 countries since 2011.
So now let's jump in and get started with the podcast for today.
We hope you'll enjoy it.
Hi guys, this is Vidas.
And Aušra.
Let's start episode 734 of Secrets of Organ Playing podcast. This question was sent by Kathrin and she writes, "That's a really interesting topic. Can I add a few questions? Level 1, 2, 3 method sounds plausible, but for me, when a piece really looks like level 1, after practicing for a while it turns out it's at least level 2. I never found level 1 pieces. What would you suggest?" So that was the first question. And the second, first I have to prepare my services. It costs me a lot of time to remember pre- and postludes. When I don't play a piece for a few weeks, I have forgotten it. So I don't have much time to learn new pieces. Do you have a method not to forget pieces anymore? These are related pieces, related questions, but also a little separate, right, Aušra?
Yes.
Want to talk a little bit about level 1, 2, 3?
Yes, well, Kathrin says that when she starts to practicing level 1 piece, after a while it turns out that it's not level 1 for her. So I think maybe she picks up pieces that are too difficult for her.
Mm-hmm. Basically, we sometimes misjudge our sight reading skills, and we have to remember that in Kathrin's case, she has to play it in public for church service, and it's not the same as practicing a piece of music on your own, in your music room, in your practice room, when nobody else is hearing you, listening to you. You get a little more tension, more nervous, and usually it takes more time to practice than at home. Maybe twice as long, I would say. It's the same as our students. We tell our Undamari students, be prepared before concert 1 month ahead of time. And it's still not enough time for them sometimes.
Yeah. But for me, level 1 piece is a piece of music that I can sit and sight read. And it doesn't matter where I would sight read it, either at home or in public. That's the level 1 piece for me.
Could be.
And what I do with such pieces, of course, I will never, just record out of the first time. Although I could do it, but it might sound not as well as, as I wish that it would sound. Because I need to play it maybe 2 or 3 times, because I get more acquainted even with the simple stuff. And I could add more phrasing.
More nuances.
Yes, and basically it sounds more natural, because, if I would just sight read it once and record it or play it in public, it might sound like very metronomic and very boring and very unmusical. That's why I need to play it a few more times. So for Kathrin, I would also suggest that she would do level 1 pieces that she can sight read easily, maybe with 1-2 mistakes.
Right, for everyone its own probably, because what you can sight read for others might take a week or a month to learn. and vice versa. What you can learn in a month, for some genius organist can take a few minutes just to sit, read, and get familiar with. And I believe there are people like that who can sight read extraordinarily difficult pieces. And there are legends about Bach himself, Johann Sebastian Bach, going to some musician friend's house and sitting down at the harpsichord and trying out unfamiliar piece. And usually that was his habit, actually, going to some friends first to try out his instruments and the pieces that are on the music rack. And usually he would do this without any problem, but just once I think he got stuck in one difficult spot. He started, I think, that page again and got stuck in the same spot again, and maybe he did it even the third time just to make sure he can go through it, but even then he couldn't, and said, what did he say? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember.
Something along the lines that no, you can't master everything. Basically, you can't really sight read everything. So that was in Bach's time, when music was less varied. He would be probably playing contemporary music in his friend's house, for music that was created in his time, or maybe a decade earlier, or Baroque music generally. So, but today we have so much variety of music from various centuries, and it takes probably much more varied skill to sight read level 1 pieces today. So yeah, expand your sight reading abilities, Kathrin, and think about this way, that if you do this regularly, you have to, of course, sight read music every week, every few days, every probably a few practice sessions. Make a habit out of this. The more often, the better. And after a few months, you will notice that you can get better with this note reading and sight reading, score reading. And what will happen, that what is now level 2 for you might become level 1 in 3 months or 4 or 5 or 6 months. Right, Osha?
Yes, but let's go back to that second part of the question where, what to do that you would not forget music that you have learned. I think that's almost impossible, because it all depends on how well you have learned that piece. Because if you really have learned it well enough, in and out, you know how the piece is put together, you always play with the same fingering, and you perform that piece a few times in public, then I would say that it's almost impossible to completely forget this piece. And for some types of music, it might take, longer time to recover the things. But for some pieces, you can maybe play it once or two and go and play publicly. And if it's so hard for you to remember what you have played, before and performed already, played in public, it means that you haven't learned it well enough. Maybe you haven't written your fingering down, something really, really, really did not work. Maybe you just thought that you know piece well, but you haven't really.
It's actually resonates with the first part of the question about level 1 and level 2 pieces, the second part, because what is plausible that Kathrin prepares hard for the music that she has to perform at the service next Sunday. She has a few days to do it, and if she takes level 2 pieces. And level 2 is 1 week difficult piece, the piece that you can prepare in a week or a few weeks, actually, not even 1 week. So if she barely can prepare it for that week, she will have difficulty on Sunday, I think. It's just too hard.
Sure, and my suggestion would be when you learn piece and you play it in public, then you need to, to make sort of order in your mind and in your schedule. You need to think what you will do with that piece next. Are you willing to perform it in the future? Will it be useful for you or not? If not, then just forget about that piece. But if you know that you will need to play it sometime in the future, then don't let it just simply stay without playing. Play it maybe once a week or twice a week, but really find time to go over that piece. But it would still, keep under your fingers. Then you won't have, to learn it again after maybe a few months or half a year or after 1 year.
Yes, you're right. I would say that you have to create a plan for your practice. If you're playing week after week new music, it's obviously not enough 1 week to prepare prelude and postlude for each service. A new one every week. So what happens, and that relates to my, for example, Fridays live streams on the bench with Vidas, when I have to prepare every week new music. Sometimes I sight read, sometimes I improvise, but sometimes some music I prepare well in advance, and I know the pieces that I'm going to perform ahead of time, ahead of maybe a few weeks, even 4 weeks. So my suggestion is work on a few weeks repertoire simultaneously. Let's say week 1 you have 2 pieces, week 2 2 pieces, week 3 2 pieces, and week 4 2 pieces. So at any given moment you should be working, let's say, on 8 pieces. It doesn't mean that you have to spend 2 hours on each piece, but just practice them a couple of times a month before. Imagine that it will get better and better and better. The next, you have to just make a plan and write down the number of pieces that you want to play, title of pieces, composers, and put them in a separate folder and start rotating the ones that you have performed, take out of the folder and put another pair of pieces into the folder and start playing it.
And the more repertoire you will have, the more flexible you become, because you can, repeat pieces that you have played a few months ago. And maybe you played a piece as a prelude, maybe next time you will do it as a postlude. Because like prelude and postlude music can be overall very general. Because you have, like, let's say, solemn feasts for church, and you have like just a simple time, yes, without any big occasions. So, and for those, not such a solemn occasions, you can really play just generic preludes and postludes.
Correct. So, hope this was useful to Kathrin and others who are preparing music to play every week. And please send us more of your questions. We love helping you grow. This was Vidas.
And Ausra.
And remember, when you practice,
miracles happen.
This podcast is supported by Total Organist, the most comprehensive organ training program online.
It has hundreds of courses, coaching, and practice materials for every area of organ playing, thousands of instructional videos and PDFs. You will not find more value anywhere else online.
Total Organist helps you to master any piece, perfect your technique, develop your sight reading skills, improvise or compose your own music, and much, much more.
Sign up and begin your training today at www.organduo.lt and click on Total Organist. And of course, you will get the first month free too. You can cancel anytime.
If you like our organ music, you can also support us on Buy Me a Coffee platform.
Find out more at buymeacoffee.com/organ.